Hello and welcome to week 11 of our Python course. This week and really for the next few weeks, we are going to be stepping slightly outside the textbook, although this week we will touch briefly on one section of it. I want to introduce a few topics that are going to be especially helpful for those of you who are interested in using Python in scientific or financial or other data-driven settings. So things that might be useful for you, those of you who are engineering majors or math majors or computer science majors who are looking to use Python in machine learning, those sorts of things. It'll be particularly helpful for those who are interested in going on to our machine learning class as well, which will use these techniques that we're going to learn over the next few weeks. So over the next few weeks, we're going to explore several ways that Python allows us to do very powerful things with data quickly, cleanly, and easily. These tools are going to let us interact with large data sets and process them efficiently and extract exactly the information we want. And this week, we're going to begin with two specific topics. First, we're going to learn JSON, which is short for JavaScript Object Notation. I'm going to give a short tutorial for you to work through from the Geeks for Geeks website, which I'll link in Canvas, and then we'll have some videos as well. JSON is a text-based data format. Many different kinds of Python data types can be represented and converted to JSON format. We can do lists and dictionaries and tuples and most structures that are composed of built-in types. These can all be converted into JSON format. And once converted, and this is why JSON is super useful, the data becomes simply a string of text, which then can be saved to a text file. Later, we can load the text back into Python and reconstruct the original data structure, put it back into Python variables or lists or whatever the case may be. So it's a convenient way to store structured data persistently, but it's also a convenient way to send it across a network. So we can take that JSON string and communicate it over the internet to another computer, and that computer can then receive our data and process it. Or we can get a JSON string from another system somewhere else and process it and load their data into our Python program. So this week, we're going to learn how to convert Python data to JSON, how to save JSON to a file, and how to load it back into Python. And the reason, again, this matters so much is that later this week, we're going to learn how to pull data over the internet from publicly available sources using something called APIs. So the APIs are the second part of what we're looking at this week. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's a method of sending and receiving data online using the HTTP protocol. It's similar to visiting a website, but instead of requesting a web page, we're going to request data or send data. And one of the things that's really cool about APIs is that there are many publicly accessible APIs that can provide us with all sorts of useful information that we can use in Python programs. A few examples. Google has an API that lets you download Google Maps data and images directly into your Python program. And they even offer a free tier for light usage so that you can create an application that interacts with Google Maps, displays Google Maps, and even finds routing information, things like that. There are free weather APIs that let you access real-time or historical weather data. There are many stock market APIs and other financial APIs that provide up-to-date pricing information, financial information. In some cases, can even allow you to make transactions using an API interface. There are flight tracking APIs that let you check flight numbers, delays, gate information, and so on. These are just a few examples of the many things that you can do with APIs. Now, some APIs are going to require you to create a free account to get an access key. Others are completely open. We'll walk through how to authenticate and make requests in Python later this week. But when you make a request to an API, the data almost always is sent back in JSON format. And this is why we're learning JSON first, so that you can understand how to unpack the data that you receive, how to store it in appropriate variables, and use it effectively in your Python programs. Now, the textbook does briefly introduce JSON. You'll find this material on pages 201 through 204 at the end of chapter 10. You may have already read through that since we covered chapter 10 last week, but we're going to be going into much more detail than the book provides. And as I mentioned, I'll also post a link to the Geeks for Geeks JSON tutorial. Geeks for Geeks is a great tutorial website, great computer science learning website. And they have a tutorial which gives a really friendly introduction to what JSON looks like and how it works. You don't need to go through all of the subpages or examples. I just want you to use the tutorial to get a feel for JSON structure and its similarities to Python dictionaries. One important difference to note, in JSON, dictionary keys must always be strings. And so the data in JSON is going to be similar to a Python dictionary where there will be keys and there will be data associated with the keys. Python allows any hashable data type as a dictionary key. So you can use integers, you can use strings, you can use even Booleans if you wanted to. But JSON restricts the keys to strings only. So just be aware of that as you are digging into JSON, because it will look very similar to some of the Python data formats, and in particular the dictionary format. We will have an assignment this week. In the next video, we're going to dive into how to use JSON in Python, converting data, reading and writing JSON files, and preparing to consume API data. And once you've reviewed the short tutorial and the relevant pages in the book, you're going to be well prepared for the upcoming assignment. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.